I remember the morning everything changed. I walked into the kitchen and said, "Emily, did you sleep okay?" She didn't look at me. She just stared at her phone like she was waiting for someone else to answer. When she finally spoke, her voice was flat. "I'm fine." "You don't sound fine," I said. "We haven't talked in days." "We're talking now," she whispered, but she didn't lift her eyes. That hurt more than I wanted to admit. We'd been married 3 years. I used to wake up to her laughing at something silly on TV or shaking me awake because she wanted pancakes at 2 a.m. But now she acted like I was just another noise in the house. I tried again. "Is something wrong? You've been different lately." "I'm just tired," she said. "I have a lot on my mind." "Then talk to me," I said. "I'm your husband." She sighed, walked past me and grabbed her bag. "I have work. Can we not do this right now?" "Emily." But the door shut before I could finish. I leaned against the counter, feeling stupid. She'd been like this ever since she found out she was pregnant. When she first told me, I expected her to throw her arms around me or at least smile. Instead, she said it the way someone might mention the weather. After that, every night felt like sleeping next to a ghost. Later that day, I met up with Mark at the diner across from my office. The moment he saw my face, he said, "Man, what happened now?" "It's Emily," I said, dropping into the booth. "She hardly talks to me anymore. She won't let me come to doctor appointments and she stays late at work almost every night." Mark frowned. "She stays late with who?" "Her team," I said. "Mostly Daniel." Mark raised an eyebrow. "Daniel Hayes? That guy who thinks every woman is a prize to win." "He's just a coworker," I said. "Emily said he's helping her with projects." Mark leaned forward. "Ethan, open your eyes. You're telling me she's pregnant, won't talk to you, won't let you be part of it, and suddenly she's closer to some guy at work." I didn't want to hear it. "She wouldn't do that. She's stressed, that's all." Mark didn't look convinced. "Stress doesn't make someone act like you're a stranger." I pushed my plate away. "I just want my wife back." He placed a hand on my shoulder. "Then you need to figure out what she's hiding." That sentence haunted me the rest of the day. By the time I got home, it was dark. I expected to find Emily in bed, pretending to be asleep like she'd been doing for weeks. Instead, I heard her voice coming from the living room. I froze. She was on the phone. "No, I didn't tell him," she whispered. "He doesn't need to know right now." My stomach tightened. She continued, her tone soft in a way she never used with me anymore. "I already told him you can pick the name." I felt something crack inside me. I stepped closer and the floor creaked. Emily spun around, eyes wide. "Ethan? You're home early. Who were you talking to?" I asked. "No one. Just a friend." That didn't sound like a friend. She hugged her arms tightly around herself. "Why are you acting like this? Why am I acting like this?" My voice shook. "Emily, you haven't looked me in the eye in weeks. You don't talk to me about the pregnancy. You don't even sleep next to me anymore." "I told you I'm stressed," she insisted. "Then why did you say someone else can name our child?" I asked. She didn't answer. She just stared at me, silent, guilty, and terrified. That was the moment I realized the woman standing in front of me wasn't the same woman I married. And whatever secret she was keeping, it was big enough to break us. When I woke up the next morning, Emily was already in the kitchen. She didn't look up when I walked in. I took a slow breath and said, "Emily, we need to talk about yesterday." She didn't pause. "I'm not ready." "I'm not asking for a fight," I said. "I just want to understand what's going on. I want to be involved in the pregnancy." "You're involved," she muttered. "That's not true," I said. "You won't tell me anything. You won't even look at me." She slammed a cabinet door. "Can you not start this right now?" "I'm not starting anything. I'm your husband. I'm supposed to be part of this." She shook her head. I said, "I'm not ready." "Not ready to talk to your own husband about our baby?" I asked. She froze for a moment, then whispered, "Don't say it like that." "Like what?" I asked. "Like the baby exists? Like I should know something?" "I just can't deal with you right now," she said, grabbing her bag. "You can deal with Daniel, though?" I asked quietly. Her eyes narrowed. "So that's what this is. You let him pick the baby's name," I said. "How am I supposed to feel about that?" "It's not a big deal," she snapped. "It's our child," I said. "How is that not a big deal to you?" She glared. "Stop acting dramatic." I stared at her, stunned. "Dramatic? Emily, I overheard you. I heard you tell him he could name the baby." She bit her lip, eyes darting away. "You're twisting things." "I'm repeating things," I said. There's a difference. She didn't answer. She just stormed past me and out the door. I stood there for a long moment, trying to breathe, trying to believe this wasn't happening. Later, I drove to my mother's house. The moment she opened the door, she studied my face and said, "Sweetheart, what's wrong?" Everything inside me cracked. "Mom, I think something's really wrong with Emily." She guided me inside. "Tell me." I sat on the couch and rubbed my hands together. "She won't talk to me. She hides her phone every time I walk in. She barely says 2 words. And last night, I swallowed. I heard her talking to someone. She told them they could pick the baby's name." My mom's eyes softened. "Oh, Ethan. I don't know what I did wrong," I whispered. "I don't know why she's shutting me out." She sat beside me. "Sometimes people hide things because they're afraid of the truth coming out, not because of anything you did." "Mom, what am I supposed to do? She doesn't want me involved." She touched my hand. "You deserve honesty, baby, or not." I nodded slowly, but her words just made the ache sharper. That evening, Emily's sister Hannah came over. She stood awkwardly in the doorway. "Emily asked me to drop some papers off," she said. I watched her eyes, the way they flicked around the room, avoiding mine. "Hannah, can I ask you something?" She froze. Sure." "Why doesn't Emily want to talk to me about the pregnancy?" I asked. "Has she said anything?" I don't know," she said too quickly. "Hannah, please," I whispered. "I'm losing my mind." She looked down at her shoes. "It's not my place." "So she did tell you something," I said. "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to," I replied. She took a shaky breath. "Ethan, I think you should talk to her again. She's been under a lot of stress." "That's not an answer," I said. She wouldn't look at me. "I'm sorry. I can't get involved." She rushed out before I could say anything else. When Emily came home later, I stood in the hallway waiting. "We need to finish the conversation you ran from." She brushed past me. "I'm tired." "No," I said, stepping in front of her. "You don't get to run again. Why is Daniel so involved? Why did you let him name the baby?" She clenched her jaw. "I told you it's not a big deal." "It is to me," I said. "Why can't you see that?" "Because you make everything about you," she snapped. "What?" I stared at her. "Emily, I'm trying to be part of our child's life." "It's too much right now," she said. "I need space." "Space from your husband but not from Daniel?" I asked. She threw her hands up. "I can't talk to you. I'm leaving. I need air." "Emily." But she was already at the door again. And this time she didn't look back. I spent the next 2 days feeling like my chest was full of broken glass. Every time I tried to eat, all I tasted was fear. When Mark came over, he watched me pace the living room and said, "Ethan, you can't keep doing this to yourself." "I don't know what else to do," I said. "She won't talk to me. She won't even look at me." He leaned against the wall. "Then you need answers. Real ones." "I've tried." "She just shuts down." "Then stop waiting for her to hand you the truth," he said. "Go find it." I sat on the couch and rubbed my hands together. "You want me to spy on my wife?" "I want you to stop letting her destroy you," he replied. "She's hiding something. You feel it?" "I feel it. So go find out what it is." I hated how right he sounded. That evening, Emily grabbed her keys and said, "I'm going to the store. Do you need anything?" "Can I come?" I asked. "No," she said instantly. "I won't be long." I watched her leave, my heart pounding. Something inside me snapped. I grabbed my jacket and followed her car at a distance. Every streetlight made my hands shake. When she turned into the shopping center, I slowed down. But she didn't park by the store. She parked near the cafe. I whispered to myself, "Please don't do this to me, Emily." She stepped out of the car, smoothed her hair, and walked toward the outdoor tables. Daniel was already there, waving her over with a smile so warm it made my skin crawl. I parked far away and walked past slowly, pretending to check my phone. I sat 2 tables behind them, close enough to hear pieces of their voices whenever the noise dipped. Daniel leaned forward. "You told him anything yet?" Emily shook her head. "No. He's so sensitive right now." "Sensitive?" Daniel laughed. "He's clueless." My throat tightened. Emily rested her hand on her belly. "He still thinks the baby is his." My world shattered in one sentence. Daniel smirked. "Well, he won't for long. Our son's going to look like me anyway." I felt my chest burn. I pressed my hand against the table to keep from collapsing. My ears rang, but I forced myself to stay still. Emily whispered, "I'm scared to tell him. He'll fall apart." Daniel shrugged. Then let him. Not our problem. I couldn't breathe. She leaned closer. What if he leaves before the baby's born? I need help. You know I can't do this alone. You won't be alone, he said, but the way he said it sounded like a lie even from where I was sitting. Emily bit her lip. I just need him to stick around a little longer. I nearly threw the table across the patio. I stood up abruptly, hands shaking uncontrollably, and walked away before I screamed. I sat in my car for 10 minutes trying to breathe, trying to stop the world from spinning. When I finally drove home, my vision blurred the whole way. I waited in the living room, lights off, until Emily walked in. She froze when she saw me. Ethan? Why are you sitting in the dark? I stood up slowly. Where were you? She looked away. I told you. The store. No, I said. Try again. She swallowed. Ethan, I don't want to fight tonight. You say that every night, I said. But tonight we're talking. She tried to walk past me, but I blocked her. I followed you. Her eyes widened. You what? I followed you, I repeated. To the cafe. To Daniel. She whispered, Ethan, please? No, I said sharply. No more lies. I heard everything. Her face went pale. Everything? You said I still think the baby's mine. She covered her mouth with her hand. Ethan. And he called the baby your son. Not our son. Not my son. Your son with him. She shook her head desperately. I was going to tell you. When? I asked. After the baby was born? After you signed me up to raise someone else's child? Tears filled her eyes. I didn't know how to say it. I didn't want to hurt you. You've been hurting me for months, I said. Every lie. Every look. Every time you walked away. I didn't mean for it to happen, she whispered. You didn't mean to cheat, I said. But you did. And you didn't mean to get pregnant. But you did. And you didn't mean to tell him he could name the baby. But you did. She crumbled onto the couch, sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Answer me one thing, I said, voice cracking. Were you ever going to tell me the truth? She wiped her eyes, then shook her head slowly. Not until after the baby was here. That was the moment I realized everything between us had already died. I drove to Emily's parents' house with my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might crack my ribs. I kept telling myself, someone there will tell me the truth, but even that sounded weak in my head. When Grace opened the door, her eyes flicked over me like I was an inconvenience she hadn't ordered. What now, Ethan? She said, crossing her arms. I forced a breath and said, I need to talk to Hannah. And I need answers about Emily. Grace rolled her eyes and stepped aside like she was doing me some great favor. Hannah came down the stairs slowly like she already knew why I was there. Ethan, you look awful, she said. I cut her off with, did you know? Just answer that. She hesitated, twisting her fingers together. I didn't want to get involved. Hearing that nearly knocked the air out of me. So you did know, I said. She looked at the floor. Emily told me things were complicated. I laughed bitterly. Complicated? She was cheating on me and carrying another man's child. Hannah whispered, I didn't know how to tell you without ruining everything. I stepped back from her, shaking my head. You all let me walk around like a fool, I said. She whispered, I'm sorry. I snapped, sorry doesn't fix anything. Grace suddenly cut in, her voice sharp. Maybe if you'd been a better husband, she wouldn't have looked elsewhere. My jaw dropped. Excuse me? She crossed her arms tighter. You never understood Emily. You never gave her what she needed. I felt heat rush up my neck. I gave her everything I had. Grace shrugged. Apparently it wasn't enough. I stared at her, stunned. So you approve of what she did? Grace scoffed. I don't approve, but I understand it. Emily needs stability. Daniel seems stable. I almost laughed from how insane that sounded. Stable? I said. He's the guy who got her pregnant behind my back. Grace waved her hand. Stop being dramatic. Relationships fall apart all the time. I felt something inside me collapse. You knew. All of you knew. Hannah whispered, Ethan, please don't be mad. I turned away before I exploded. I walked out of their house without another word. The moment the door shut behind me, everything felt heavier. I sat in my car with my hands shaking. How long have I been living in a lie? I whispered to myself. I thought about every smile Emily gave me, every late night she claimed to be working, every moment she pulled away. None of it was real. None of it belonged to me. When I drove home, my chest felt tight like the air was too thin to breathe. When I walked inside, Emily was sitting on the couch. She stood up fast. Where have you been? I ignored the question. Your mom knew. Anna knew. Everyone knew but me. Emily swallowed hard. Ethan, calm down. I stepped closer. Did you ever plan to tell me? Ever? She covered her face with her hands. I wanted to. I just couldn't. I shook my head. I'm done begging for honesty. She reached out. Please don't do this. I pulled away. I'm packing a bag. She gasped. You're abandoning me? Abandoning you? I repeated, staring at her. Emily, you abandoned me months ago. She shook her head wildly. No, I didn't. I was confused. I was scared. I said, you were hiding another man's baby. That's not confusion. She stepped forward. I still need you. I felt something inside me harden. You need someone to clean up the mess, not someone to love. She flinched. Don't say that. I grabbed my bag from the closet. She followed me down the hall. Ethan, please, we can fix this. I turned around. Tell me how. She opened her mouth, then closed it. I don't know, she whispered. Exactly, I said. There's nothing left to fix. She reached for my arm again, but I stepped back. Grace said Daniel is more stable than me. I said, but you let her think that. You let all of them think I'm the problem. She whispered, I'm sorry. I shook my head. Sorry doesn't help me breathe again. She started crying. Don't leave. I can't do this alone. I said, you already chose to do it alone. I walked to the door, my hand shaking on the knob. Behind me she screamed my name, but I didn't turn around this time. When I showed up at Mark's apartment with a single duffel bag, he opened the door and said, you finally did it. I stepped inside slowly and said, I couldn't stay there anymore. He closed the door behind me. Good. You shouldn't have stayed that long in the first place. I dropped my bag on the floor and rubbed my face. Everything feels like it's falling apart, Mark. He shook his head. No. Everything was falling apart before. Now you're finally walking away from the wreck. I sank onto his couch. Emily kept yelling that I was abandoning her. Mark sat beside me. You didn't abandon anything. She threw you out emotionally months ago. I let out a shaky breath. I don't even know who she is anymore. Mark leaned forward. That's why you need clarity. First step? Paternity test. Don't sign anything until you get one. I stared at him. You really think she'd try to make me legally responsible? He raised his eyebrows. Ethan, she let another man name the baby. Nothing is off the table. My phone buzzed. I didn't want to look, but my eyes drifted to the screen anyway. Emily, come home. Please. We need to talk. I set the phone down. Mark glanced at it. She'll blow up your phone for a while. I whispered, she already has. He nodded. Guilt is her weapon now. The next morning I woke up to 5 unread messages. You're hurting me. Then, Daniel isn't ready to be a father. You know that. Another, I need you. Please stop punishing me. I slammed the phone on the counter. Unbelievable. Mark walked out of his room. More guilt. I nodded. She says Daniel isn't ready to be a father. Mark snorted. Not your problem. I grabbed my coffee and said, she wants me to come back because I'm stable. Not because she loves me. Mark replied, exactly. She wants support, not you. Later that day at work I couldn't focus. My eyes kept drifting to my phone even though I refused to open the messages. Mr. Walters, my boss, called me into his office. Ethan, closed the door. I did. He studied my face for a moment. You look exhausted. I muttered, it's been a rough few weeks. He nodded. I'm not asking for details, but I can see you're not yourself. I rubbed my forehead. I'm trying to handle things. He leaned back. Take a few days. Clear your head. You've been a solid worker for years. You've earned the time. I stared at him. Are you sure? He nodded. Go before I change my mind. I actually laughed a little. Thank you, sir. As I left he said, life can hit hard. Don't let it keep you on the ground. His words stuck with me. When I got back to Mark's place he glanced up from the TV. How'd it go? I sat down. He gave me time off. Mark grinned. See? World's not ending. I shook my head. It still feels like it is. My phone buzzed again. Emily, you can't ignore me forever. Another, I need you more than ever. And then, please answer. I sighed loudly. I can't do this. Mark said, then don't. I looked at him. What do you mean? He grabbed my phone and set it face down. Stop responding. Stop feeding the control. She needs you now. That's why she's panicking. I stared at the blank TV screen. It's messed up, but you're right. She needs me more than I need her. Mark said, finally. You're seeing it. I whispered, I never imagined I'd be in this kind of position. He replied, you didn't put yourself here. She did. My phone buzzed again. Then again. Then again. Emily was desperate now. Talk to me. Don't do this. I can't handle this alone. I whispered, she's falling apart. Mark responded, good. Let her deal with the consequences. I stood up and paced. Part of me still wants to help her. Mark raised his voice slightly. Ethan, stop. You can't save someone who destroyed you. I finally sat back down. I'll stop replying. Mark nodded. That's the first real step you've taken for yourself. I looked at my phone, screen still glowing with missed messages, and whispered, this feels like a power shift. Mark said, it is. And it's about time. I leaned back, exhaled slowly, and for the first time since everything started, I felt like I wasn't the one crumbling anymore. I was sitting on Mark's couch, trying to distract myself with some old movie, when my phone started ringing nonstop. I ignored it at first, but when it kept vibrating, Mark glanced over and said, that's gotta be her. I sighed and checked the screen. It was Emily. Then another call. Then a text, please answer. It's happening. I need you. I stood up slowly. She's in labor. Mark stared at me. What are you gonna do? I rubbed the back of my neck. I don't know. I can't just ignore something like that. He nodded. Then go. But don't let her pull you back into the mess. I grabbed my jacket. I won't. Even as I said it, my chest tightened. When I reached the hospital, Emily was on a bed, breathing hard. She looked up at me with panic in her eyes. Thank God you came, she said. I stepped closer but kept my hands at my sides. I'm here because it's the right thing to do. That's all. She reached for me but I didn't move. Ethan, I'm scared. I whispered, I know. Just focus on delivering the baby. She nodded and winced as another contraction hit. A nurse walked in and smiled at me. Dad? We'll need you to sign a few documents. I cut her off. I'm not signing anything. Not until a paternity test is done. Emily stared at me with wide eyes. Ethan, please don't do that right now. I shook my head. I'm not going to be legally responsible for something that isn't mine. The nurse hesitated. We can wait. Emily started crying. Why are you being so cold? I swallowed. Because you lied to me. A few minutes later, Daniel walked into the room like he owned the place. He smiled at Emily. How are you holding up? Emily reached for his hand. It hurts. He glanced at me. Didn't expect to see you here, man. I stared back. I'm here because I have a heart, not because she deserves my support. Daniel shrugged. Well, she needs me more anyway. Emily snapped. Daniel, stop. I crossed my arms. Funny. You weren't around when she was panicking at 3 a.m. Daniel rolled his eyes. Look, I don't need attitude right now. I'm trying to be here. Emily said, both of you please. I can't handle this arguing. I stepped back. I'm not arguing. I'm waiting for the truth to come out officially. Another contraction hit her, and she squeezed Daniel's hand. He winced. Damn, that hurts. She whispered, don't leave. He said, I'm not. But the second a nurse came in and said, we're close, Daniel stepped away. I need some air, he said. Emily cried, Daniel, don't go. He didn't look back as he practically jogged out. I whispered, wow, that's the father you chose? She sobbed harder. Ethan, please don't do this right now. I said, I'm not doing anything. He is. Hours passed with screams, nurses rushing around, and Emily calling for people who wouldn't stay. When the baby finally arrived, the nurse turned to me. Do you want to cut the cord? I stepped back. No. I'm not signing anything or claiming anything until the test is done. Emily cried, Ethan, don't be heartless. I whispered, heartless? You let another man claim our child privately for months. The baby cried loudly. Emily reached out for him. My son, she whispered. I stayed silent. It wasn't my place. Later, as they moved Emily to a quieter room, Daniel came back. He peeked inside and said, Hey, how'd it go? Emily glared at him. Where were you? He shrugged. It got loud in there. Hospitals freak me out. I almost laughed. Perfect timing as always. Emily whispered, Daniel, your son is here. He froze. Yeah, about that. Emily tensed. What? He lowered his voice. I'm not ready for this. I thought I was, but seeing everything. I don't know if I can do it. Emily's voice cracked. Daniel, don't say that. He stepped back. I need time. She started crying again. You can't leave me. He said, I'm sorry, then walked out. Emily turned to me. Please stay. I need you. I can't do this alone. I shook my head. You didn't need me while lying to me. Don't need me now just because he ran. She sobbed. Ethan, please. I'm begging you. The doctor walked in with a clipboard. We've sent the blood samples for the paternity test. Results will be back soon. Emily grabbed my hand. Please don't leave before then. I gently took my hand back. Nothing you say changes the truth. The wait felt like a lifetime. Emily cried the entire time, whispering, He'll come back. He has to. I didn't respond. Finally, the doctor returned. He cleared his throat. The test is complete. Emily squeezed her eyes shut. I inhaled deeply. It's negative, he said. You are not the father. Emily let out a sound I'd never heard before. She broke down completely. No, please. She covered her face as her whole body shook. The doctor stepped out quietly. Emily looked at me through tears. Ethan, please, don't go. I'm begging you. I need you. Please stay. I shook my head. I stayed longer than I should have. I'm done hurting. She reached toward me. Don't leave me alone. I whispered, You weren't alone. You just chose someone who never cared. I walked to the door. She screamed my name, begging, pleading, shaking. But I didn't turn around. I walked out of the hospital feeling lighter than I had in months. I was free. The weeks after the hospital felt strangely quiet. I stayed at Mark's place while trying to rebuild the parts of myself I had lost. One morning he said, You look better than you did last month. I shrugged. I'm trying. It still hurts, but at least I can breathe again. He handed me coffee. That's because you finally cut her out. I nodded. She keeps texting though. Long paragraphs. Pages really? Mark groaned. What's she saying now? I read from my phone. I made a mistake. I miss the man you used to be. I need you. He rolled his eyes. She misses stability, not you. I sighed. Yeah, I know. Later that day my mom called. Sweetheart, how are you holding up? I said, I'm okay. Trying to be. She replied, Good. Don't let her drag you back. I whispered, I won't. She said, I'm proud of you. Hearing that steadied me more than anything else. Emily's messages kept coming. Can we talk? Then I'm sorry. Then, please answer me. I never replied. I didn't block her, but I didn't open anything either. I told myself, ignoring her doesn't mean I'm weak. It means I'm done. And for the first time I felt like that was true. One afternoon Mark asked, You ready to grocery shop like a normal human again? I laughed. I think so. We drove to the store talking about dumb things for once. It felt good to talk about something other than heartbreak. When we walked inside I froze. Emily was standing near the produce section, holding the baby. She looked exhausted, dark circles, messy hair, shoulders slumped. She stared at the floor like she didn't want the world to see her. I whispered, She looks different. Mark said, She looks like consequences. Keep walking. Before I could move, she lifted her head and saw me. Her eyes widened. Ethan, her voice cracked. I swallowed hard. I'm just grabbing groceries. She stepped closer. Can we talk? I shook my head. There's nothing left to say. She hugged the baby closer. Daniel left, she whispered. He hasn't called. He hasn't checked in. He just disappeared. I nodded once. Not surprised. She bit her lip. My mom stopped coming over too. She said she can't deal with the stress. I said, also not surprised. She took another step. I never wanted to hurt you. My throat tightened. Then why did you? She looked down. I was stupid. I didn't think everything through. I just wanted attention. And he gave me that. I said, and now he's gone. She nodded. Yeah. Her eyes filled with tears. I miss you. I miss us. I wish I could undo everything. I looked at the baby. He deserves better than this chaos. She wiped her cheeks. I know. I'm trying. But I'm alone. I nodded. I was alone too. For months. She whispered, Ethan, please don't walk away. My chest ached, but I stood my ground. I already did. I walked away the moment I learned the truth. She reached toward me. Can we start over? I stepped back. No, we can't. She cried harder. You can't forgive me? I whispered, forgiveness isn't the problem. You broke something in me I can't put back together. She whispered, I miss hearing your voice. I said, then remember it. Because you won't hear it again once I walk out of this store. She begged, please don't say that. I shook my head. Emily, your regret came too late. Mark stepped closer. Ethan, let's go. I nodded. Emily whispered, please? I forced myself to turn around. Every step felt heavy, but it also felt like freedom. At the door, I glanced back one last time. She was standing exactly where I left her, crying into the baby's blanket. And for the first time, I didn't feel responsible for fixing her pain. I felt relieved. I felt finished. I walked out. The morning after seeing Emily in the grocery store, I sat at Mark's kitchen table staring into a cup of coffee I barely touched. Mark walked in and said, you didn't sleep, did you? I shook my head. Not really. My mind kept replaying everything. He sat across from me. You need help processing all this. Not just me giving you advice. Actual help. I sighed. Like therapy? He nodded. Yeah, therapy. It's not weakness. It's maintenance. I stared at the coffee again. Do you really think it'll help? He leaned forward. Ethan, you've been carrying trauma for months. Maybe longer. You deserve to feel whole again. I said, I don't even know where to start. He replied, start by admitting you can't fix this alone. I breathed out slowly. Okay. But what if I freeze up? What if I don't know how to talk about it? He smirked. You talk more than you think you do. Trust me. Later that afternoon, my mom called. Honey, I heard from Mark that you're thinking about therapy. I sighed. He thinks it'll help. She said, I do too. I've watched you give so much of yourself. It's time someone gave back to you. I whispered, I feel broken. She replied softly, you're not broken. You're healing. Those are different things. Hearing that calmed something inside me. Thanks, Mom. She said, you're not alone, Ethan. You never were. The next day I sat in a therapist's office. The room was quiet, warm, and smelled faintly like lavender. The therapist, Dr. Harris, smiled and said, whenever you're ready, you can tell me what brought you here. I stared at my hands. My marriage fell apart. Actually, it was falling apart for a long time. I just didn't want to see it. He nodded. Tell me about the moment you realized something was wrong. I swallowed. When my wife told another man he could name the baby she was carrying. He leaned in. That must have been devastating. I nodded. It felt like the ground disappeared. He said, let's talk about how that impacted your sense of worth. And for the first time in months, I finally talked without being interrupted or blamed. When I left his office, I felt lighter. Not healed, but understood. Mark asked, so? How'd it go? I sat on his couch. Better than I expected. It hurt, but it also helped. He grinned. Told you. I said, he wants to see me weekly. Mark clapped my shoulder. Good. You need consistency. Over the next 2 weeks, I found myself opening up more. Dr. Harris would say things like, your pain makes sense, or, you learned to blame yourself because you were surviving. Every session helped me piece together parts of myself I thought I lost. During one session, he asked, what do you want your life to look like now? I thought for a long time. Peace, I finally said. I want peace. I want to choose a life that doesn't hurt. He smiled. That's a powerful goal. And it's possible. My mom checked in often. How are you doing today? She'd ask. Sometimes I'd say, I'm managing, and other times I'd say, I actually feel good. Each time she'd tell me she was proud. Her support felt like a lifeline. After a few weeks, I returned to work. Mr. Walters saw me walk in and said, you look steadier. I nodded. I feel steadier. He smiled. Good. You're valued here. Take your time catching up. His kindness surprised me. Thank you, I said. Really? He waved me off. Just do what you do best. That same week I met someone new. Not in a romantic way, just in a normal human way that didn't demand anything from me. She approached my desk with a stack of files and said, hi, you must be Ethan. I'm Ava. I just transferred from another branch. I looked up. She had a friendly smile, nothing forced. Nice to meet you, I said. She nodded. I've heard you're the guy who keeps this place from falling apart. I laughed softly. That's debatable. She set the papers down. Well, if you ever need help or someone to vent to about workplace chaos, I'm available. I said, I'll keep that in mind. Later, Mark teased, so who's the new girl? I rolled my eyes. Relax. I'm not looking for anything. He said, I'm not saying you should date. I'm saying it's good to talk to someone who doesn't come with emotional landmines. I shrugged. She seems normal. Mark grinned. Normal is underrated. One evening after a long therapy session, I sat alone on a park bench. The sky was turning pink and everything felt quiet. I said out loud, I'm never going back to who I was. Not bitter. Not broken. Just honest. For the first time the words didn't hurt. Emily still texted sometimes. Shorter messages now. I hope you're okay. I think about us every day. Please forgive me. I never responded. Not out of anger but because I didn't owe her anything anymore. In my next therapy session, Dr. Harris asked, do you think you've forgiven her? I leaned back. No. But I don't wake up angry anymore. I don't feel chained to her choices. I don't feel like I owe her my life or my pain. He nodded. That sounds like closure. I said, it feels like freedom. One night I called my mom and said, I feel like I'm finally moving on. She said, that's all I ever wanted for you. I whispered, me too. A week later I ran into Ava in the break room. She smiled. You doing okay today? I nodded. Yeah, actually, I am. She handed me a coffee she wasn't drinking. Here. I accidentally grabbed two. I smiled. Thanks. She walked away and I realized something simple. I didn't feel the weight I used to carry. Not even a shadow of it. That evening I walked home alone under a quiet sky. I said to myself, I don't forgive Emily. Then I added, but I don't hate her either. I paused, taking a deep breath. I'm choosing myself now. Finally. And with every step I took, the future felt a little brighter, a little lighter, and for the first time in a long time, felt like mine.